Well, Arkansas Governor Mike Huckabee joins me now. Governor, I sense voters are increasingly frustrated about this border problem. What do you say?
I think they're not just frustrated, they're angry, and they demand something. And it's not just on the southern border anymore. People in New York realize that the resources that they should be getting as citizens, taxpayers, are now going to illegals who are getting hotel rooms, 3 meals a day, gift cards, health care. Same thing is happening in places like Chicago and Washington, D.C. And reliable Democrat voters have had it up to their eyeballs. And I think it's going to be a significant election shift because a lot of people who may be typical Democrat voters are going to say, I can't do it this year. I just can't. These people have betrayed my trust. They've taken my resources and they've handed it to people who shouldn't be here. And some of those people, not all, but some of them are murdering innocent people in this country like we saw in Georgia recently.
And it just goes on and on and on, doesn't it? All right. Next one for you. Outside groups have pledged more than $1 billion to Biden's re-election efforts so far. That's according to the New York Times. The Biden campaign is flush with cash, but Donald Trump is not. How's he going to catch up?
I think in the same way that he did in 2016. He used a lot of his own money, but he used earned media. More than anything, he used the movement. Most of Biden's money comes from globalists. These are very high net worth individuals and companies who want Joe Biden to be president, not because they think he's a good president. They know he's a horrible president, but they make money with Joe Biden because he allows all kinds of globalist activity without any regards to trying to protect American workers. And open borders mean lower wages. It has a deafening effect upon workers. So sure, they're going to put the money in. But there is a rising number of people who, I don't care how much money Joe Biden has, you just can't somehow make it appealing. And I would hate to be the ad person for Joe Biden. I honestly think it's going to be trying to sell beefsteaks to a vegan community. It's just going to be hard to convince people, hey, this is what you ought to be buying this week.
Seems to me, I'm going to change the subject if I may, it seems to me that Biden has turned against Netanyahu. That makes me think that our foreign policy is directed by domestic political concerns, namely the vote in Illinois. Am I right?
Yeah, Illinois and Michigan. I think he's trying to somehow prove that he really is going to stick it to Netanyahu. But in doing that, he's sticking it to Israel. This is outrageous. And Chuck Schumer's speech and Biden's policies, where he's now basically siding with Hamas and trying to blame Israel for the fact that they were attacked, and these butchers from Hamas went over and slaughtered a bunch of innocent Israeli citizens on Shabbat. This is insane. The reason people are dying in Gaza is because of Hamas. You know what Joe Biden hadn't talked about? What Chuck Schumer hasn't talked about? The hostages. And some of those hostages, Stu, are American citizens. When are we going to hear a demand from Joe Biden and Chuck Schumer that Hamas let those hostages go who are American citizens, and then maybe they'll talk about some aid to Gaza?
Netanyahu's going to speak with Senate Republicans. It's a video conference, and it's today. I think the Republican Party is now the pro-Israel party. It's not the Democrats any longer. It's the Republicans. What do you say to that?
It's totally switched. It used to be the Democrats were reliable supporters of Israel. Republicans were mixed. I think now Republicans, just like they have become the party of Trump, say what you want to. No one has done more for the relationship of Israel and the U.S. than Trump. No one did more for Israel in moving the embassy, recognizing the Golan Heights as belonging to Israel, and accepting that Jerusalem is the eternal capital. These are huge things, and that's been done by Donald Trump and Republicans. I totally agree. The Republicans have become the reliable ally of the state of Israel, and I'm glad we have. We should be.
Good. Governor, always a pleasure to have you on the show. Come back again real soon, please.